As a result of the operative search and investigative activities carried out by the Counter-Terrorist Center of the State Security Service of Georgia, several units of special explosive devices and a large amount of explosives were removed. It was announced at a briefing held in the State Security Service of Georgia. According to the agency, as part of the investigative actions, based on preliminary operational information, as a result of the search of a specific vehicle by the employees of the Counter-Terrorist Center, 2 batteries intended for an electric car were removed. According to the SUS, the existing batteries were used as containers. Both of them, in total, contained 6 units of special explosive devices. Explosive devices and substances were removed from the said containers by a special demining group, which was sent to the expert criminological department of the Ministry of Internal Affairs for examination, and to ensure covert investigative and operative measures. The original containers were returned to the said containers. The visual appearance and the so-called mock-ups were returned to the above-mentioned package in order to prevent the secret investigative activities from becoming known to both the customers and the executors. Was to determine the orderers and additional persons who might have been involved in the transportation of the mentioned cargo, as well as to determine the route of movement of explosive devices and the final goals of their use. It is determined that the explosive devices contain military-made plastic explosive C-4, which can be activated by means of an electric detonator and a special timer. The total weight of the explosive substance reaches 14 kilograms. The containers also contained 6 detonators and 6 special keys for the explosive device. In each of the 6 individual boxes, the same number of electronic timers for activation were installed, in which the activation time was already programmed. As a result of the initial study of the recovered devices, it was determined that all 6 devices were made by a high-level specialist and were designed for a wide radius of damage. The activation of such a device in crowded places would cause significant damage to the infrastructure and large-scale casualties. The charge of the mentioned substance is much more powerful than the explosive charge of TNT. As a result of complex actions carried out by the Counter-Terrorist Center, on the basis of the testimonies of the interviewed witnesses and the recovered audio files, it is established that the mentioned explosive devices and substance were brought from the Ukrainian city of Odessa through Romania, Bulgaria and Turkey to Georgia on January 19 of this year through the checkpoint, Safi, in a minivan owned by a citizen of Ukraine type of car, and it was planned to take it to the Russian Federation, specifically, in the city of Voronezh, through the checkpoint, Dereil, later, at the request of the customer. The decision was changed and the persons involved in the process tried to take one of the containers, where 3 explosive devices were placed, out of the country from the mentioned point, while the second container, with 3 explosive devices, was left at a specific address in Tbilisi, which was stopped by the employees of the Counterterrorism Center and was seized. The message at the time when he had to cross the Georgian-Russian state border from the Georgian side. As a result of the operational search and investigative activities carried out by the State Security Service, it has been determined that 7 Georgians, 3 Ukrainians and 2 citizens of Armenia. According to the case materials, the said process was organized by a citizen of Ukraine, Andrei Sharashidze, a candidate for deputy of the Kiev district of the local Rada of Odessa district in 2020 from the party, Servant of the People, who was originally from the city of Batumi. The investigation also determined that the above-mentioned persons, except for Sharashidze, probably did not know about the explosive devices and capsule detonators placed in the car's batteries. Currently, active investigative and operational activities are being carried out in order to inform the persons involved in criminal activities, to make special explosive devices, to determine the route of movement, the final destination, to identify the targets of the attack and to obtain evidence. As for the 3 explosive devices left in the city of Tbilisi, were they intended to be taken to Russia or were they to be left in Georgia to be used in action? The ongoing investigation will determine this. However, the details of the mentioned case and the actual situation give grounds for doubting that the use of the territory of Georgia and the large number of Georgian citizens in this process, the inclusion, served to create the perception that terrorist acts, whether carried out in Georgia or abroad, would be blamed on Georgia, both as part of planning and implementation. Regarding the fact, the Counter-Terrorist Center of the State Security Service is conducting an investigation under the third part of Article 236 of the Criminal Code of Georgia, which refers to the illegal purchase and storage of explosive substances and explosive devices. And the investigation should also be continued under Article 18 to 323, which refers to the preparation of a terrorist act. The said crime provides imprisonment for a term of 10 to 15 years. We would like to thank the General Prosecutor's Office and the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Georgia for their assistance in the complex ongoing measures in this case, the State Security Service.